My film tells the story of a delivery boy. It's only 2 days of his life. It's the 2 days before his interview for seeking asylum. So it's two very intense days for him. He's from Guinea and he's working in deliveries in Paris. I already made a movies about migrants. It was my first film was the story of two people, one boy and one girl coming from Africa and going through the continent to reach Europe. It was my first film. This is my third film. And I always had the idea that I should follow up, because this first film, Hope, was only shot on the African continent. And I had the idea that I should do, it's not a sequel, but I should work on the subject on what happens when they come to Europe. And I was very impressed by the image of all these delivery people in the streets of Paris, especially during the COVID epidemic, because all the streets were empty, and there were only them. They were the only ones riding around the city with their bikes. And for me, it's very interesting to have in the same time the portrait of these new workers and the question of the papers, the documents, because most of the people who work for these applications are undocumented. I live in Paris, and I've always made all my films far away. I made films in Vietnam, in Morocco, in Central African Republic, and it's the first time that I shoot in my city, in Paris. But I didn't want to shoot my city. The idea was to show Paris from another point of view, from the point of view of somebody who is not from here, and for whom this city is hostile, is difficult, is rainy, and yeah, the Paris we show is very intense, chaotic, difficult, with the rain, with the cold, with the cars all over, like a cauldron. It's really very intense like this. I wanted to show the streets of Paris very chaotic like that. Very, very realistic at many points of view. First, I made a casting with non-professional actors, almost all of them. We made the casting in the streets of Paris, and then through associations. I really wanted to find people who grew up in Africa and who arrived in France lately. This was very important for me to keep in the movie people who are not used to, people who have never been part of a movie. It's their first time, all of them. And they have a special way of moving, a special way of speaking, and I think this gives a very realistic feeling for the viewer. And second, the second thing for this realism is to have the camera really inside the city. So you have to try not to block the life of the city. For that, of course, you have to have a minimum crew. Because if you have 20 people with you, you have to block the street, you have to put on the lights, and then everything is dead. So we worked with very few people, most of the time like 6, 7 on the set, sometimes only 3, and like that we could shoot on the streets, in the transportations, with all the crowd all over.